Welcome back to Bountiful Gardens. It's another week of a fantastic fall season, and this week we want to show you a little bit of how we make our container gardens to show off all the abundance of the season. The gardens in fall are full of so many different shapes, colors, and textures, and the best way to show them all off at once is with a container garden. There's so many classic colors to choose from warm oranges and reds to blazing yellows to pretty purples and pinks. You'll have an option for every palette. And there's so many varying shapes and unique textures to add to your planter to really add a lot of interest. There are three main components to the perfect fall planter. Thrillers, or tall feature plants, that'll be the focal point of your arrangement. Filler, things like mums or celosia that'll provide color and texture. And then spiller, things like vines or other draping flowers that will soften the edges of your arrangement and provide some flow. You can play around with the colors and textures until you have the perfect palette and fall vibe that you're looking for. You always want to start out with some good potting soil. In this case, we're using a Spoma organic potting mix. It's what we prefer to use on all our planters here. Next, I like to plan out the design by just making sure I've got space for everything. So my 8-inch pot is going to be dug right there, and there's plenty of room for all my 4-inch plants around the rim of that. And then you just start planting. I'm also going to hold on to this pot because I'm going to show you a creative way to use it later. For my spiller plant, I'm going to be using this purple passion vine, which has these really delicate little orange blooms on them that'll eventually seed into white seed heads, so it adds a little extra texture and interest to your arrangement. So this is an example of a classic fall planter. You've got this wonderful millet as our thriller. This will really catch the eye, draw you in. Then another fall classic, the mums. This will provide that really strong burst of color, as well as celosia, which is great for pollinators. It's almost like candy to them. Some cabbage, and then some really interesting purple passion vine, just to add that extra special something to this arrangement. Once everything's planted up, you can trim or take away any dead leaves as you feel is necessary, really providing that final touch to your piece. One of our core philosophies at Bountiful Gardens is there's always room for more flowers, which is why I always grab some winter pansies just to fill in where necessary. I felt like this area could use a little splash of yellow, so I'm going to put this winter pansy in there, which is going to fill in and keep blooming as the season goes on. Perfect.
But what if I want to use pumpkins in my container garden?
If you're like me and you're all about Halloween, then this planter is for you. It's also a great way to utilize more fall decor like pumpkins or Indian corn. Fill up your container about 2/3 of the way with some good organic potting soil, and then remember that 8-inch pot that I saved before? That's where this comes in. That's going to center right in there. Then we're going to fill in around it with the rest of our potting soil. This is a planter where your pumpkin's going to be a feature. So by utilizing this pot, you're keeping the pumpkin up and out of the soil, so it's not going to rot whenever you water all your plants around it, and it can sit and really show off. And now that everything's securely planted around that pot here, you just place your pumpkin right in the center, and then zhuzh as necessary. Maybe fan out the grass a little bit, check for any dead blooms, and trim your hanging vines.
Awesome. But what if I have perennials in my container garden? Do I have to take them all out to refresh it for fall?
Earlier in the season, we planted up these evergreen containers with a bunch of perennials, things like bugleweed and creeping nettle, which is really nice because those have the same fall colors we're looking for, those deep purples, greens, and silvers. So all we really need to do is fill them in a little bit with some fall annuals like this celosia, an ornamental pepper, and of course winter pansies. And then that's it. You're saving time and money, and you have a planter that's rethemed for fall.
Wow, Ike, thanks for giving us so many options. What if I want something a little bit more out of the box?
For this next planter, we're going to be using a cool autumn palette of whites, grays, blues, and tans with this thriller of a maiden grass right in the center that'll really give it a nice bountiful look. Once again, I'm going to save one of these plastic pots, and I'm going to have our pumpkins featured right around here. Now that all our plants are in, we can add in our decorative pumpkins. How fantastic is that? The eucalyptus is really cold hardy, and it's going to grow a lot, so you can actually prune it wherever you like and it'll just keep growing throughout the season. The celosia is going to provide this really beautiful warmth to this arrangement, as well as these little pops of yellow here. And then this cool blue doll pumpkin right there is going to anchor all these cabbages and eucalyptus together.
Okay, Ike, I've got one last question. What about our late season pollinators? Do you think we could design a container garden that's beautiful to us and delicious to them?
This planter is a pollinator's paradise, utilizing this gorgeous little blue stem as our thriller plant in the center, our purple and black salvia and aster as our filler plants. This aster also does double duty as a spiller plant. It'll eventually continue to trail down over the edge of this planter. And then some marigolds and a little bit of cabbage as well for a really deep fall color to match the salvia and the little blue stem.
Now that we've finished planting all of our beautiful container gardens, the final step is to sprinkle on some Osmocote. It keeps the plants healthy and fed as they grow into their new home.
So this fall, why not put together a container garden that shows off everything the season has to offer? No matter the color palette or style that you're going for, we have everything you're going to need right here at Bountiful Gardens. Or if you want to take away some of the guesswork, you can have the perfect fall planter designed and put together for you in store by one of our experts. Thanks for watching. As always, if you enjoyed this video, be sure to like it down below and leave a comment if you have any suggestions for a future video or questions about the video today. And of course, subscribe to our channel so you can see more videos like it in the future. Thank you.